Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So I'm looking at my little screen here and I feel like that sign behind me kind of makes me look like I have a big round head. So hopefully it's not too distracting because I kind of like my position here. I'm all cozy in my shed and we have a winter storm going on the outside. So today's video is a Q&A and I'm going to get right to it. The first questions are from the October Q&A. S. Solly says, I still have a question. I keep wondering why you didn't round the edges of the wooden top on the hamper and the trash to treasure, or did you do that later? That is from a previous video where I had kind of redone the top part of a clothes hamper, and that kind of bothered me too. So far I've just left it the way it is. I haven't really even found a home for the hamper. It's still sitting upstairs in storage, but I could always take a router or something and round those edges, or even just, I don't think I could sand them down because I think they're too pointed, but I agree with you. I think it should be rounded, but at the same time I think it would make a cute little stand just the way it is too, so we'll see. I'll keep it in mind, but thanks for the advice. Sandra Cox says, do you consider yourself a minimalist, or is the clean and simple decorating part of your upbringing? I don't really consider myself a minimalist, although I really admire that and I can see myself kind of being that way someday. I probably sound more like a procrastinator here because I always think, someday I'll go through all my things, and anything that I don't use, I don't need, I'm going to get rid of, but I just don't get around to getting it done. Then as far as the clean and simple decorating style, definitely not my upbringing, because I remember being a teenager at home, my room was really full, which I guess I had to pack everything in there, all the things I liked, in one room. Whereas, once I had a home of my own, I was able to kind of spread it out. Although I do remember having more things around first when we got married than I do now. And I think it may have started some with just realizing it's so much easier to clean your home if you don't have as many things. And then, after I started doing that, it kind of grew on me, and now I just think, it just looks too busy for me if I have too many things out. But I still like to see that too in a home, maybe just not in my home. I wouldn't want to live in it, but I always think it kind of looks cozy with, everything just fixed up more and every little corner full. So it's not that I don't actually like that, but maybe just for me, to live in it, I need to just keep it simple. Bonnie Jean says, you use the same brand of spray paint I use. I find it always clogs up. To me, they end up being a one-time use only. Very frustrating. Definitely, because you pay too much for them to just be able to use them once, right? But yeah, I use Rust-Oleum often, and I gotta say, I don't really have problems with that paint, clogging up for me. I really don't know what to tell you besides, I've had cheaper brands already that sometimes clog for me, and I've learned that every time you use it, if you clean that cap off or the nozzle, it helps, that the next time it's not clogged up. But yeah, sorry, I guess I can't really help you on that since I don't really, have that issue. I don't know why you would. I always store my paint, at, room temperature. It's down in our basement. It's not a cold area. It's just a common, 70-some degree area. I don't know, would that make a difference? Danielle Fry says, have you tried any of the new acrylic spray paints, like the permanent and opaque ones? I actually bought some a few months ago and I haven't gotten around to using it, but it's that kind where supposedly you can spray clear glass and it changes color, but it's still clear. So I'm excited to try it, but no, so far I haven't. Grace Reef says, I want to redo my tabletop. Whatever varnish or clear coat is on there now turned sticky, as did the table before this. Do you think the polyurethane that you recommend won't do this? I wash my tabletop with regular old dish soap after every meal. Is that what I'm doing wrong? It definitely shouldn't be. I mean, I do that too. Our tabletop so far has not turned sticky on me. I have the polyacrylic on our tabletop right now, but I did put the Annie Sloan clear wax over top of that. It's like a double layer of protectant on there. So far it's held out nicely. I mean, the table does chip here and there, but I kind of like that look. I don't mind that. And I was expecting that with just putting a plain old paint over our top. And with the use it gets, We have some countertops in our kitchen that are topped with the polyacrylic, no anti-Sloan clear wax, just the polyacrylic. It's our island top, and then there's like a drop counter, and then also the counter over by the refrigerator. I just painted them to look like marble, it's just wood tops, and then to protect that, I just covered it with a few coats of the polyacrylic, and so far they're not turning sticky, and it's been a number of years, so I feel like I could recommend that to not turn sticky, but then again, sometimes weird things happen with different woods, so I can't, guarantee it, but so far it's worked, great for me. Jennifer is asking, just curious, how long did that actually take? I did not tell you guys in the video, but I had COVID when I filmed that, and believe me, I was not in the mood to clean, but I forced myself, took Advil and got it done. I spent, a couple days doing it, whereas normally it probably would have just taken me a day. Amanda Stone says, where did you get your living room area rug? I actually got that at Target a couple years ago. Diane says, how do you debug your plants before you bring them inside for the winter? Honestly, I didn't really think much about that. I guess I just assume, once I start moving them around, they'll kind of fly off maybe, but I didn't really notice any bugs, so I just assumed they aren't there, hopefully. Chrissy says, I noticed your steps are white. I'm guessing you painted them, and do you love them? Yeah, they are white. I did paint them. I used an oil-based paint, though, for the actual step part. I used water-based for the sideboards and the rail and all that, but just for the actual step I use oil base because that definitely stays put better, and so far they're holding out nicely, but I'm kind of in the mood for a change in that corner. I'm kind of spinning my wheels on that, maybe a later winter project, but again, I've had that for a number of years and I definitely liked it. I still like it, but just ready for a change maybe. Next question here is, do you have baseboard heat? If so, how do you keep the wall clean above it? I have what looks like black stuff going up my wall. I hate that. Yeah, I imagine. We don't have issues with that. I don't know, would it be a certain heat source? We have like a hot water heat, which that's probably what you would have too with baseboards. We have like a natural gas boiler downstairs, and then we also have a wood burning stove that sometimes if it gets really cold in the winter, we'll use that to heat the water, but so far I haven't really had issues with it turning black. So I guess I can't really answer that question. The next questions here are from the booth reveal. Cindy says, we saw your booth, everything looks great. Well, thank you. You also have the corner booth in the other room in the corner. It looked like your signs and your style. I feel honored that you would think that. I love that booth. It's so my style, very true, but I feel like it's so much prettier. I just don't get around to, fixing up my booth. I simply don't have time. I mean, I have some ideas in my mind for future things, but so far I just haven't really gotten around to just putting more up there than just the basic, pieces of furniture and signs that I still had left over from the vintage fair. But definitely in the future I have some ideas to do a little more fixing up. But yeah, that other corner booth you're talking about, I think I may have a video clip I can throw in here so you guys can see what she's talking about. I believe the owner's name is Tammy, and hopefully I'll run into her sometime when I'm up there at the mall. I definitely want to meet her, but she has beautiful things. My niece always gets these questions together for me, and she put an LOL here with the next question, and I'll explain why here in a bit. But Lillian is asking, wonderful idea, how do you know how to price things? The reason she put the LOL here is everybody tells me I don't price my things high enough. I'm just not really good with knowing what to price things. I'll often ask my niece and my sister and my mom, and sometimes they'll even just come and price my things for me because I'm just not really good with that. I mean, honestly, years past, like in the vintage fair, I would, go along and kind of price my furniture what I think it would be worth, and then mom or my sister would, come behind me and mark it up, sometimes $100 more, and it would actually easily sell. So you can tell I'm not good with pricing things. I often probably don't price enough, which is probably annoying to other vendors then, so I want to try to do better with that. Just often, add maybe $50 on whatever I think it should be. I don't know, could definitely use some help with that. Elizabeth says, maybe I missed it in the video, but have you thought of putting a rug down? I think that would make the space look even more cozy. That is a good idea. Thanks for that. I may have to look into that because I feel like it needs something, and like I mentioned before, I'm still not quite finished as far as the decorating part of it. Ruth Ann says, I know you enjoy antique stores, and I'm curious if you've ever been to Journey in Time in Orville, one of my favorite stores. Orville is probably about half hour, 45 minutes from here, and I have had people tell me about that place. I've never been there, so definitely have to check it out sometime. The Faithful Farmer Mama says, how exciting. I hope to visit one day. I'm hoping you'll keep extra stuff outside in the truck because I'm sure this space will empty fast. Well, thanks for the positivity here. Question, will you run the booth or others? I assume you're talking about if there's other people, there at the mall taking care of the customer, and the answer is yes. It's so nice. All I have to do is just put my initials, WCC, on my price tags, and then if somebody buys something, they just keep that tag there at the cash register, and that way they have record of, what's sold in my booth. And all of the vendors there have their own, initials, and then they pay us every couple weeks. Definitely a nice setup. I love it so far. So the next questions are from I had done a fall outdoor cleanup, and then I fixed up this shed here. The first question here is Susan Morgan asking, does the soap snow stay on the trees from year to year? Love the idea. It does fall off some. If you don't really bump against the tree, it's okay, but once you actually take it down to store it, you'll lose some of the soap. But the next year I just freshen it up with some more. I mean, some of it will stay on, but definitely a lot will fall off too. So, and to me it's so easy to do, and it's cheap, it doesn't cost a lot. I'll just do it again the next year if I want the snowy look. Kate is asking, totally curious, what are the measurements of your she shed? It's right around 5 foot wide by about 10 foot long, so nothing too big here. Beth is asking, when you plant your bulbs, do you put the point end up or does it matter? I'm not sure if it matters, but I always do. I put the point end up and make sure that little root system is down in the ground. Dawn says, how is your new booth doing? It's doing great so far. I've really enjoyed it, like I mentioned before. I believe the second day already I sold a piece of furniture, and I think that first week I sold maybe 3 or 4 pieces, so very encouraging. At first I wasn't sure can I even keep it stocked, but it's slowed down some now, so I think I'll be okay, but it's a good problem to have. I'm not complaining, and it's not something that I signed a contract for. If it's something I can't keep up with, or if it just stresses me out, or gives me even more work than I already have, I'll just stop doing it. But so far it's going great. So the next questions are from the pond makeover video. Gerda is asking, how long into the winter season do you let the aerator run? Does the pond freeze over? In our normal Ohio winters here, our pond does freeze over. We usually get a couple inches of ice on it. In a really cold winter, more than that. But being it's in the woods here, it doesn't freeze like a pond would if it's in the open. And so far I think we're just going to let the aerator run. We just love how it's circulating that water. Then it wouldn't freeze over. I was in contact with the pond guy about that, and they said, yeah, it would not, with the moving water, it wouldn't freeze. And being that we usually are limited to our ice skating during the winter anyway, with the ice often not being thick enough, we just thought maybe we'll just let it run, unless we change our minds. The next question here is, do you ever swim in your pond? We don't anymore. We used to. In fact, I learned how to swim in that pond as a young girl at home. But I think over the years, with that muck buildup on the bottom, if you at all just step in it, it gets like really muddy and kind of gross. But who knows, maybe if we get it cleaned up like this, we can use it as a swimming pool. We'll see. Vicki Timmerman says, can you skate in the winter? I actually learned how to skate on that pond too, and the boys have skated on there. But often the ice does not, when it freezes, it's more of a rough freeze. It's not your smooth freeze like a pond would in the open. So it's definitely not the best pond to skate on. Brandon Corley says, we have a pond about the same size. I also follow the pond guy too. What season did you do this in? I wanted to clear that. I don't believe the pond guy that has a YouTube channel is the same as the company, like the pond guy that did the sponsorship with me. Don't quote me on that. I should have done my research before saying that, but I don't think they're the same, but I noticed I had other comments about that. And then Laura from Garden Answer, they had the pond guy there to do a water garden for them, just beautiful. And I don't believe that's the same as the company that, again, did the sponsorship, but I guess it really doesn't matter. But what season did you do this in? We did it, we started it 1st of September. just this year, that's when I started the pond cleaning process. And once the water got below 60 degrees, I didn't do any of the treatments, so I'll have to wait until spring or early summer whenever the water temperatures go up to do the treatments again. Richie asked, do you get any snakes, turtles, or frogs? Yes to all of those. Love the frogs. I like to hear them croak. The turtles are kind of cute, but I know they're not, especially the big snapping turtles, aren't good for your pond because they eat, the small fish. The small turtles I think are okay. And then snakes are just creepy. I don't really like snakes, although I realize they're just part of nature, so I'm just trying not to think about it, I guess, when I'm down there. The last questions here are from the Christmas decorations video. Janice asks, I've been wanting to try the dried oranges. Can you smell them? You don't really smell them just walking into the room, but if you smell them up close, they definitely have an orangey smell. Tracy says, can you tell us what kind of glue gun you use? I just have a regular, I think I got it at Walmart, glue gun. It's the kind that takes the thicker sticks of glue. It's not the mini one. Mary Beth asks, where did you get the chair you are sitting in and the drapes? The chair I'm sitting in, I believe, was the love seat in that video. I got that at Jerry's Home Furnishings. It's here in Worcester, Ohio. Years ago. I don't know, would they still have that? I know I had it custom ordered. I did a custom order fabric on it because I just love that striped, kind of ticking stripe fabric. And then the drapes are some that I actually made or partially made. Just used sheer panels from Walmart and then sewed the strips of the tan fabric on them. Very simple. Carol asks, how long will the fresh branches last in your house? I usually keep them, all during the Christmas season. Often by, mid-January or towards the end of January, I get tired of some of the winter things and I'm in the mood for something else, so I'll, toss them, and by then they're usually kind of, dried up, but often they still kind of look okay until you start moving them and then they fall apart. The next question here is, how long do the circular flower elements take to spoil, or once cooked, they do not spoil as if they were ceramic? I'm not sure about that. This was new for me to make my own homemade ornaments. So far they seem real, hard and dry. I feel like they wouldn't spoil, but I guess we'll find out. I remember our boys making maybe handprints using salt dough, way back in preschool or kindergarten, and I still have those like in storage, and so far they still seem okay, so I imagine that it shouldn't spoil, hopefully. So it looks like that was the last question, so I guess that concludes this month's Q&A video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me on this beautiful snowy day. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.